Good evening. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us tonight. This is a special night because we have the mayoral candidates tonight, and we are going to be discussing some great topics that will that affects our community. And I just want to go over some rules. I'm Carolyn Thrasher. Next on the mic, I will be the moderator tonight. And we have our candidates Jennifer Daughtry. We have Roger Wilson. We have John Funderburk. And we have Mayoral Connor. The questions that I will be asking tonight, they will be questions for all the candidates. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer the questions. And if they like to rebuttal, they will have 1 minute. You will see the candidates lift up their index card if they would like to rebuttal. The candidates will be answering the questions in alphabetical order, but with the closing remarks, I will reverse it. And the candidate that has at the end of the list, which will be Roger Wilson, he gets the opportunity to do closing remarks. As you can see, my show is 30 minutes longer because we are in a mayoral forum, and I want to make sure that everybody gets a great discussion, and the candidates have time to discuss the topics. Okay. I also will let you know when the 2 minutes is up. If the candidate is still talking, I will mute them. So we have to respect everybody's time, and everybody gets the same amount of time. The topics that we'll be discussing tonight is economics and business. We will talk about law and justice, education and community relations, and the vision for Frederick. I will let everybody know that the candidates did get these questions in advance, so they are prepared to answer these questions. There is no trick questions. Only trick questions is the questions that you, the audience, that will be able to ask these questions at the end. And I will decide which questions they are. You can actually have a question for a specific candidate if you would like. And so I will give them, again, 2 minutes to answer. And I possibly can give somebody a chance to rebuttal. We'll make it interesting. We'll see what happens. Okay? So I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. And during their introduction, we're going to let them do their open statements. And as you can see, we have in order. So it will be Jennifer Daughtry, ladies first, of course. So Jennifer, you can definitely introduce yourself and have your open statement if you like.
Thank you. Thanks, Carolyn, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jennifer Daughtry, and I'm running for mayor of the city of Frederick. I have been a business owner in Frederick since 1987, and I was mayor from 2002 to 2006. When I was mayor, we did many projects and many things, and I lived up to the campaign promises that I made. And I hope that if I'm elected again, I'll be able to live up to the promises I make to you tonight. When I was mayor before, we did the Carroll Creek project from Tinker Toys to phase 1 completion in 4 years. No one thought it could be done. We did it. That was 1,000 jobs, 17 million in public investment and 100 million in private investment. La Paz was first, but they certainly weren't the last. We created the Department of Economic Development. We built the one-stop shop on Patrick Street with the parking structure. We made the first city contributions to FITSE. We expanded businesses in Frederick that are still well known today: AstraZeneca, Wolf Furniture, Wells Fargo, Home Depot, Boscov's, and more. We completed the floodplain approvals for downtown that have been going on for hundreds of years, it seemed. We completed the East Street extension to Walsler Drive. We created the neighborhood advisory councils, Frederick 101, and the community roundtables. We focused on public safety, hired a new chief of police who lasted 10 years versus the last 6 years where we've had 5 acting or interim chiefs of police. We hired 10 new police officers. We had a 25% reduction in Part 1 crimes, and we received the first accreditation for the police department. We focused on quality of life, bringing the Tally Rec Center to life. Hill Street Skate Park, Laboring Sons Park became a dedicated passive park. Diggs Pool and Mullinex Park were refurbished. We increased the diversity in our workforce to reflect our population, starting with Rodney Pulliam as our Chief Operating Officer, Stephanie Davis as the Chief Executive to the Mayor at the first Black woman to achieve that position. We promoted the first African American to the command staff in the police department. This is big stuff. We hired the first Asian to be the director of engineering. And I mention these things because we made the promise to do the right thing and promote the right people. This wasn't something that was hard to do, and it isn't a perfect. Sorry. Are you ready? Can I keep going?
That's your time. That's your time.
Okay.
Yep. What I will do is I'll hold my finger up when you have 1 minute left. So then
Okay,
you guys
great.
can. Okay. The next person will be John Funderburk.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having us. Carolyn, thank you, other people that are running for mayor. Thank you for coming today. Listen, I'm not going to keep it simple and short. Miss Jennifer Doherty cited her accomplishments when she was mayor from between 2002 and 2006. We have a mayor now, Michael Carney, that's done a really good job in caretaking for our city. But my vision is to bring Frederick into the next millennium. Bring Frederick into a place where we can have a convention center. We can have a hotel, a luxury hotel. We can have a art museum that can be nationally registered. We can have different projects that create entertainment, that create sports. Frederick is in Maryland's second largest city, but all of our infrastructure is that of the 20th largest city. So I'm going to stay out of social issues, and I'm going to concentrate primarily on bringing Frederick into the new age. Thank you.
Under 2 minutes. I'm impressed. The next person will be Mayoral Michael Connor.
Carolyn, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity this evening. And Jennifer, Roger, and John, thank you for putting yourself out there in a process. Some of you have done that before, and we all know what that's like. I first want to say thank you to the voters of the city of Frederick for bestowing upon me the tremendous honor of being able to serve as your mayor for the last 4 years. When we launched our campaign 4 years ago, we talked broadly about the need for better engagement, more opportunities, and resilience in our community. No one could have expected that within 6 months we would face the kind of flood that led to the flood control project that Jennifer talked about in her opening. And we committed as a result of that event that we were going to move forward and we're going to fix the episodic flooding that occurred in neighborhoods across the city and engage with the Army Corps of Engineers to make those things happen. By 2020, we all know what the last year has been like. 14 months has been a pandemic punch in the face to the city and to every resident, business, person who lives in our community. My own family has suffered personal loss as a result of the pandemic. If that doesn't demonstrate the need for the community to look at how we can be resilient, and we've done so. We have not come through the pandemic unscathed, but we have learned a lot about ourselves in a community, and we are going to take the best of what we've learned from the pandemic and apply it in a post-pandemic Frederick as we move forward to normal in this community. I'm looking very much forward to the conversation this evening and the opportunity to talk about the very important issues that you've raised. It's about business, it's about equity, it's about justice, it's about jobs, it's about opportunity. That's what I said I was going to do 4 years ago. That's what we spent the last 4 years doing, and we've been successful. Thank you.
And last but not least, we have Roger Wilson.
Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you to the listeners of this evening's debate and forum. Thank you also to my colleagues who joined me to talk about the future of. You know, one of the things that I find remarkable about this forum tonight is the candidates. Just to look at the candidates is very diverse, and that reflects the growth and changes that we've seen in Frederick over the last 20 years. You know, when we moved to Frederick back in 1997, the population was about 43,000. Since then, fast forward, the population today is about 75, 76,000. Minority community is about 40%, and we have a vibrant economy. In 2045, we expect that population to be around 100,000. The reason why I'm running for mayor after serving as an alderman is because I want to lead that effort in the next chapter of Frederick for the next generation that would want to move here. I want them to find that welcoming community as we found it in 1997. I look forward to a wonderful discussion tonight on the important issues and discussing my vision for Frederick.
Thank you for that. You guys did great. So now let's get into the discussion. We all know that, some of the candidates have said, that Frederick is growing tremendously, and we are, and our economic structure of Frederick has to keep up with the growth. So I'm going to start with Ms. Jennifer. What are the three economic drivers in Frederick City, and how would you engage with these entities to improve the economic development of Frederick?
Thanks, Carolyn. Well, the three top economic drivers are life sciences. We have Fort Detrick, we have Leidos, we have AstraZeneca, we have Wells Fargo in banking, and we have the entirety of the downtown that John wants to talk a lot about. And I think that's important. I think we have to be more proactive than this administration has been in reaching out and talking to these businesses to make sure that we know their needs and we know that they're willing to stay here. I want to create an ambassadors roundtable for these business leaders to make sure that they're helping us recruit and bring new businesses here. Keeping a good customer is a lot easier than creating a new customer. So I think we need to focus on making those business retention visits a lot more effective. Those have been around for a long time. We need to make sure that those business leaders know that they're actually being heard by listening to their simple issues of whether a traffic light needs to be installed. Beyond the downtown, beyond the larger businesses, I think we have to focus on the issues along Carroll Creek. Because if you're watching a business ambassador group, a tour group taking a tour of downtown Frederick, they're glossing over some areas on Carroll Creek where public safety has become an issue. And Michael, I got to challenge you on this flooding issue. Ellicott City suffered the same massive flood issue, and they have already rebuilt with grants. We don't have enough communication, we don't have enough conversation, and we don't have enough involvement in the plan. The fact that it's been in the capital budget or on the table for a few years hasn't helped the downtown businesses, and it surely has cost the YMCA $1 million. So let's talk about how we're going to communicate with these businesses, making sure they're getting good information. And we've done that before through our creation of the Economic Development Office, but also meeting with business leaders from every genre of business, small and large. And as a downtown business owner for the last 35, 38 years, I know we're hard to please. We're a hard lot to please. But what we don't like is not having information. And information is the key. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Now we will let John answer the same question. John, would you need me to ask the question again, or are you fine?
I'm fine, thanks. So I find myself aligned with Jennifer Doherty on this, and business. Okay, so I moved to Frederick in 2011, and before I moved to Frederick, I heard Frederick had a reputation of being more of a country kind of town, a kind of almost not a progressive town. And when I got here, I feel like I live in a nirvana. I have two daughters that are with me all the time playing, and no matter where I go, I don't see color. One of my daughters has very dark skin, and when she goes to play with other children on the playground, there's no hesitation. There isn't any sense of, you're not one of us. Frederick is a very unique place. It has so much to offer. And I was thinking, wow, these companies that are looking to move to out of Silicon Valley, they're looking to move out of higher price places like New York. Why don't they come here? Apple is going to spend $413 billion in in establishing other offices in other places. Why isn't Frederick first on the map? We have amazing, we have a huge mountain that people love to go to, Sugarloaf Mountain. We have huge tourism spots. We have a vibrant historic district downtown that people love. And we have a community that is so diverse, is also highly trained. So we have a population that can easily staff tech companies. So why aren't we doing that? So economic drivers should be relocating businesses to Frederick. Thank you.
Next, we will have Mayor O'Connor. Would you like me to ask the question again, or do you know the question?
No, I think I recall it. You're looking for
Okay.
the 3 economic drivers and how we engage to make those work for the city. I would say the 3 economic drivers for Frederick are 3.5. Our 3,500 businesses in the city of Frederick are economic drivers for us, and the overwhelming majority of those 3,500 businesses are small businesses. That's the backbone of our Frederick economy. We also have Fort Detrick, employs 10,000 people, and has been a driver of the bio and life sciences that we've seen come into our community. The Frederick National Lab, AstraZeneca, Fort Detrick, and the allied businesses that research in this community working with that partnership are involved in being on the front lines of COVID research, in being on the front lines of cancer research, AIDS research, Ebola research. We're a center already for tremendous work that's being done in this community. And the third big economic driver is our economic development partnerships, our partnerships with the Frederick County Office of Economic Development and Frederick County Workforce Services, the Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Frederick Partnership, Visit Frederick, our tourism entity, the Golden Mile Alliance, East Frederick Rising. These partnerships are unique. I've been to conferences across the East Coast since I've been mayor and have had the opportunity to talk to people. And when we describe the relationship of our business partners that sit down and work together and communicate and collaborate on an ongoing basis, other communities cannot believe that it is true. But we have tremendous collaboration that's going on in this community. And those are the things that drive us. And my 3.5, the last one that I'll mention is we are seeing an increasing growth of young professionals in our community. And it's an enormous opportunity for Frederick to take that next step. We are a community of 73,000 residents. We are going to grow. We are where the growth should occur. And it's important for us to position ourselves with leadership across these business sectors to make sure that we're positioned to take advantage of what's coming next. And our economic development department does.
Your time is up, Mayor O'Connor. I'm sorry. Okay, and we have Roger Wilson.
Thank you for the question. I will continue the mayor's comments with regard to those 3 indicators, economic indicators. You know, our small business, yes, is our core of our economy here in Frederick. Our life sciences community and companies are definitely driving our economy forward. But also our breweries and distilleries are also helping to drive the tourism industry that is so popular here. When people come to visit Frederick, they want an experience, and they go downtown. They're able to catch a pre COVID-19. They were able to catch a show at the Weinberg Center, or visit our Civil War Museum, or do that brewery crawl that was very popular. And our tourism industry is thriving. One of the things that I want to kind of focus on is our creative economy that's here. You know, a young man started a business in an escape room. We need to build on those types of ideas. And filming, possibly in our art community, they need to be a part of our economy. And that's something that I want to help incubate here in Frederick.
Thank you for that. So I am going to give an opportunity for anybody that would like to rebuttal. If you would like to rebuttal anything that was said, you can definitely raise your index card, and Jennifer raised her index card. So you have 1 minute to rebuttal, and your time starts. Wait. Your time starts now.
Thanks. I won't take a minute. I believe in that. The Arts and Entertainment District was actually created during my administration, creating a tax credit district for people who were involved in the arts in the downtown district. So believe it when you see it. We did it. Thank you very much.
Well, there you have it. So anybody else would like to rebuttal? Oh, okay, it's not white, but I'll let you go.
Just a quick note. Roger said that when you visit Frederick, you want an experience. We don't have a luxury hotel here. I mean, when you have an experience in other cities, you could do a luxury hotel that's either overlooking a harbor or has a specific kind of theme to it. There isn't a hotel in Frederick that you can come here and have an experience or even a romantic date night. In addition to, Roger said that our tourism is thriving. Our tourism is thriving, but it's a drive-through tourism because people come here for the day, then they go back home. Or people may visit, they kind of go to our antique shops, and then they go back home. What we need to have is something that they can somewhere they can go to at night, and a thriving nighttime location that is luxurious, that has entertainment value, and that people can as Roger said, have that experience.
Any else who would like to rebuttal? No. Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, John. I agree with you. We need that full experience, and we need that infrastructure, the social infrastructure that I mentioned in my opening statement. You know, there is a plan. I'm getting some feedback. I don't know who's somebody needs to mute. Okay. There was a plan in place that's still, we're in the planning stages of bringing in a downtown hotel conference center. But that's why I'm running, because that project hasn't gotten done. We've been waiting. The community has been waiting. The business community has been waiting and driving this project. It's needed. It will help us. It's a game changer in the city of Frederick. We've been waiting for this. 2 administrations haven't gotten it done. That's why I'm running for mayor, because that infrastructure is vital, and I want to see it in Frederick.
Okay, so we're going to go to our next question, and I'm going to switch it around a little bit, and we're going to go to the law and justice question. With 287G has been an issue for our community, and being that the Dignity and Trust Act bill wasn't passed, when you hear the words restorative justice, describe your understanding. Excuse me. Jennifer, you can go first.
Well, first, I guess we're going to talk about 287G for a second, because the city of Frederick has a general order on 287G, and we're not supposed to, the police department is not supposed to ask citizenship status of anyone they pull over for a minor offense. And I believe that. But then I started digging into the numbers a little bit, and it doesn't seem like we're living up to that general order. And I have a problem with that, and I'd like to work more with one of the interns that we hire through our Next Generation initiative. But the idea is 60% of the people who are arrested are traffic stops and processed through the ICE the 287G program. That's not right. That's not how the plan was supposed to work. The idea of putting people further in the shadows is dangerous for them, and it's dangerous for the community in general. 60% of the people say they won't call in and report a crime. 40+% of the people say that they will not call if they're a victim of crime. So how do you fix that? Well, you start by building trust. You start by supporting the RISE program. Restorative justice, I would like to use the symbol of the drug courts that are effective in working with a voluntary, nonviolent, drug-addicted person who wants to go through and work him or herself to the next level of success. The restorative justice means that we have to look at fairness and equity and creating an opportunity for people. And for me, that means that we have to have some sort of framework. And the drug court initiative was effective a couple of years ago, and I'd like to use that as the framework. But I want to touch a little bit on, I know I don't have much time left, maybe I'll come back and rebuttal. Thank you.
Great job. Yeah, you didn't have that much time left. I was going to have to mute you, and I didn't want to have to do that. Okay, so Mr. Frederick, you can go next.
Let's see, the program you're speaking of, 287G. I feel that, okay, every successful business, they have people that are qualified in that particular department to run that department. And I feel that 287G has enabled officers that aren't qualified, that haven't been trained, that have a different mission plan to take on another mission. And when you have so many different missions, like John Madden says, if you have 3 quarterbacks, you don't have none. You need to have that one quarterback that knows how to do his job correctly. We have police officers that know how to police correctly, but why are we asking them to monitor or regulate immigration in Frederick when we have an immigration department? So I'm a strong advocate of separating the responsibilities and allowing immigration officers to do their work and allowing Frederick officers to do their work. That way you can have accountability, and that way you can have properly trained people having one mission, so you can have success. Thank you.
So being that I'm a moderator, I have to stand my ground and stay in my lane. So we're just going to keep moving on, and we're going to go with Mayoral Connor, and you can go.
Thank you. During the recently concluded General Assembly session, House Bill 304 and Senate Bill 88 were intended to, the Trust Act, to reduce the influence of 287G. Sadly, it didn't pass in that form. But I was proud, along with Alderman Russell, Alderman Shackelford, Alderwoman Kazemchak, and Alderman McShane, to support a letter supporting that legislation, to make it clear that limiting 287G is the right thing to do for the state of Maryland, and it's certainly the right thing to do in Frederick County. We do not support that program in the city of Frederick, and it does not build trust within the communities that our law enforcement officers have told me is so important in the work that they need to do every day. At the core of restorative justice is trying to determine how do we fix something that's broken. And the old model was that we should incarcerate, that we should lock up or throw away what's fixed. But the new model, the progressive model, the model that I support, is how do we take someone who has come into the system and turn them and make them productive. So our police department is actively working right now with law enforcement assisted diversion. Our new police chief was a leader in the development of procedural justice curriculum for 1,000 police officers in the agency from which he comes. This administration is strongly committed to making sure that Frederick is a community that is open to all and that welcomes all and can provide opportunity for all.
Thank you for that. And Roger Wilson, you can go.
Okay. So as far as understanding the question, I want to relate a personal story. Just recently, I went on a ride along about a couple of weeks ago with the city police department, and during that ride along, we encountered some individuals that were Hispanic, Latino background. And the individuals that I was with did the ride along. The police officers were very professional, did not one time ask for their credentials or their paperwork as is being said out there in the public. These types of interactions are not happening in the city of Frederick. And the Frederick Police Department are doing well out there to make sure that they're being welcoming to our citizens from the Hispanic and Latino community. And I was very proud to be on that ride along and understanding how we're working closely with that community to make sure that they are safe and also the broader community is safe. So thank you.
Okay, we already have a rebuttal. And John, I seen your card go up, so you can definitely rebuttal. You have 1 minute.
I'm sorry, Mario Butler for Roger Wilson. I'm a financial advisor, so I evaluate companies for a living. And every successful company has people that are trained in that specific department to do well. And I'm glad you had a positive experience in your ride along, but how much more effective would that police officer have been had he not had to had to deal with immigration law enforcement? That police officer could have went on another call. That police officer could have been walking the neighborhood and introducing themselves to the neighbors and doing a lot of community policing. I think that I'm a strong advocate of having people trained for their specific job so that they can be successful.
And go ahead, Jennifer, you can rebuttal.
The idea of the young persons coming in as the next generation initiative, being interns in the city, this is exactly the type of thing that they can help gather data on. What we're seeing is numbers. We have all the data, but we are not producing it for the public to see. And Roger, of course, you're going to have a perfect ride along. I did a ride along years ago. Of course it was perfect because they're performing for us. When they are on the job, when we are not the eyes on them, we have to make sure that they're living up to the expectations of the public. And to me, evidence is in the files, and that's what we'll get. Excuse me. That's what we'll get to with the review of the data. I'm not accusing anyone. I'm trying to make sure that we have data to make good decisions.
Anybody else would like to rebuttal? Nope, we don't have any rebuttals. Okay. Next question is, since the mayor is responsible for the police department, what plans do you have to ensure that the use of lethal force is limited? Jennifer, you can go first.
Well, this is probably one thing that we all agree on, is that the City of Frederick Police Department does not have a reputation as overly using lethal force. But there are times when it happens. And the thing that we have to make sure is that we're following the same process during every interaction. We have to make sure that we're recruiting the best officers. We're recruiting and training the best officers, that we keep educating people when they're within the agency. We have to make sure that we're transparent, that the command staff understands that, as John referenced earlier, community policing is the best way to avoid lethal force, and that we make good decisions within our command staff, and we're making sure we're communicating with the elected officials. You know, I made it a practice of meeting with my chiefs and directors every week. Chief Dine and I would talk for hours every week, and at one point, and not just with each other, but with other community leaders. At one point during the administration, we had a terrible circumstance. A police officer was involved with a chase, and ultimately a young man was shot and killed by a police officer. It could have blown up. It could have been terrible. It was bad for that family. But the young man had pointed a gun at our officer. Because the chief and I had relationships with the leadership in the community, things didn't blow up. That's the essence of community policing, communication, and having strong relationships. That's what I'd like to bring back.
Thank you for that, John. Next.
Repeat the question, please. I apologize.
Carolyn, we can't hear you. Repeat the question.
Sorry. It says, since the mayor is responsible for the police department, what plans do you have to ensure the use of lethal force is limited?
One thing Jennifer said was hiring the best officers, which is completely true. But once again, I'm also a strong advocate for hiring people that specialize or are good at a specific job. And one thing that police officers are good at policing, they're good at community policing, getting to know people, getting to know the community, and enforcing the law from a community neighborly standpoint. But when it comes to mental health, there are programs across the country called mental health collaboration programs, whereas you have therapists or other people trained in mental health that knows how to interact with someone that may have an issue that is a little beyond the scope of what a police officer is normally trained for. So I would be an advocate for instituting those programs. I also be an advocate for instituting the crisis intervention training, where you have specific officers that leave the normal everyday duty of the police force, and their primary job is to intervene in crisis moments, whereas they're trained to handle drug overdose, where someone might be going a little crazy, or someone's mentally unstable, or someone's having a very bad day, or have depression. So I'm a huge advocate on training people for their specific jobs so you can have success. Thank
you. Mayor O'Connor, you can go next.
The Frederick Police Department does not have a reputation for high use of force, and that is a result of really exceptional training and hiring the right police officers. And embedded in the policies and the general orders of the police department are the ways in which they're supposed to conduct themselves. We will be releasing the 2020 use of force report very soon, and that's going to show that in the city of Frederick, force is used, and force as defined by that document could be anything from the use of hands to put someone to the ground or in a vehicle, to the most serious things that we could think of, the deployment of a firearm or the firing of that firearm. We have not had a police officer fire their service weapon in the line of duty in more than 4 years in the city of Frederick. Lethal force is a last resort. It needs to be a last resort, and our police department is well trained in how to use other techniques to de-escalate. We are actively working, and will be beginning soon, efforts to create the kind of mobile crisis response that has been talked about, and the city of Frederick actively participating with partner agencies in the county and the health department and mental health professionals to make sure that what we're putting on the street from a policing perspective is policing, and those other services are joining us to make sure that it's a community response to the challenges that our communities face.
Roger Wilson, you can go next.
When I was elected as alderman, one of the things that I wanted to look into with the police department was the use of force. And we asked the chief at that time to provide us annually a presentation on the use of force and looking at that data. The numbers that we saw when we were first elected were not good. And we've been working on the use of force data over the last 3 years. And we expect a new report coming out very soon, so I'm looking forward to that presentation. Also, we focus on bringing in more body cameras for our police officers to make sure that there's transparency in the system as far as the use of force. We also invested every year in the budget more training opportunities for our police officers. So these are the things that we have done, and they have come from the legislative branch of the city government, and we have led on that. And I am very proud to know that our police officers really do appreciate our level of focus and commitment to making sure that we reduce those instances where use of force is needed.
Now everybody has the opportunity to rebuttal if they would like. Okay, Jennifer, you can go ahead and rebuttal. And wait, give me 1 minute. And start, go. You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry. This is where leadership matters. When I was mayor, Chief Dine and I worked with the Way Station, Maryland School for the Deaf, and others to make sure that there was a partnership, understanding that crisis moments happened all hours of day and night. The police department, the police officers had and developed a relationship with the people who had were likely to have outcomes that were not good if it was just the police department. So the fact is, it was created, and the lack of leadership in this city government since 2006 has been all over the board. And it hasn't focused on the primary mission of keeping people safe and understanding programs. Thank you.
Roger, you pulled your card up. You can go.
Yeah, community. Okay. The question that I have is for the chief of police is, what does community policing 2.0 looks like? What's the next generation of community policing? It does involve mental health services in collaboration with law enforcement. It also involves being more visible in these communities. The first conversation that I had with Chief Lando was talking about even his own visibility into these communities. There are communities in Frederick that have never seen the chief of police. Never. That's unacceptable. That's the first objective for Chief Lando, is to be more visible in the community. I'm glad I had that conversation.
Your minute is up. Anybody else would like to rebuttal? Nope. So since this is my platform and my show, I'm going to switch it up, and I'm going to ask Roger the question first, and we're going to reverse it, okay? Because I would like to reverse that. Is everybody okay with that? And we'll just, perfect. So I'm going to ask Roger Wilson first. We're going to get on the education question. How would you collaborate with a variety of civic and community groups to increase the number of events that are inclusive of race, class, and other forms of diversity in our education system?
Yeah, thank you for the question. This was part of my platform when I ran for the Board of Aldermen. I saw a need, or heard a need from the community, especially parents looking for their children, their students, to get more involved in the community and create opportunities for them to be engaged. And so I thought about that, and I thought about one form or one way to engaging our young people was to create a youth advisory council. And with the work and the collaboration of my colleagues, we established a youth advisory council that is composed of not seniors, but high school students to discuss their issues and concerns. And also, they have a forum to be able to influence policy in city government. And also, it's an opportunity for them to learn more about civics, civic engagement, and possibly create job opportunities for them in the future. Okay, so these are the things that I'm thinking about in the future, and that's just one policy area. I think civic engagement for our students is extremely important going forward. I don't know, did we lose Carolyn?
We lost the moderator.
I think so. Okay.
John, you're next.
Well, first I want to thank Roger Wilson. One thing I have noticed and I have followed you is that you are very good when it comes to education, and I wanted to give you that because my daughters are in the schools here in Frederick, and I appreciate the work that you've done. I can see some of the changes you've made, and I thoroughly appreciate your passion for education, and has made our city better. So thank you for that. And I have to be honest with you, I am a big advocate of charter schools, and I'm an advocate of having children have a choice to be able to have different forms of education. So I will be relying on a lot of Roger's ideas for education and getting a council together, and but trying to institute ideas that because different students learn differently. And my children are part of the Frederick Classical Charter School, and they do very, very well. So I guess I don't know if I answer your question or not, but I'm more collaborative and inclusive in trying to provide options for our children. Thank you.
So my internet just messed up. I don't know where it stopped at. So did everybody get to rebuttal? Did you guys have a great discussion?
No, I think it should be me, and then.
Okay.
Jennifer's
Okay.
opportunity
Perfect.
to ask the
Go ahead.
question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And one of my dogs wants to participate in the conversation right now, so I apologize for that.
Okay.
One of the wonderful things about Frederick is that we are a rich, diverse community. But I do not think that over the last 20 years, we've necessarily had the events that celebrate that richness and diversity. One of the wonderful things that's happened over the last several years is the rise of organizations like Soul Street and the work that Elizabeth Chung and the Asian American Center has been doing for years throughout the city of Frederick, and our Centro Hispano and the Frederick Arts Council, increasing the diversity of the public art that's being created and displayed throughout the city. This is where the diversity and the ability to provide events that can appeal to all races and classes and all forms of diversity. Frederick Pride is a wonderful event that happens every year in our downtown. And it is a wonderful thing to see our community come out and support these events with such enthusiasm, because it really is the community that we aspire to be. And these community organizations and the work that we do through the city in providing community promotions grant support to these organizations is really what makes this community a special place. But we can always do more. We need to do more, and we will.
My turn.
Jennifer, did you answer the question? Did you get to answer the
Not
question?
yet.
Okay,
Not
go ahead and answer the question.
Okay, so on education, I want to do a couple of things. The Next Generation Initiative is a program of paid internships for young people, whether high school or college. And they can work in every city agency and department, from blue collar all the way up to the legal office and the elected officials. The purpose is to give them training, education, opportunities for jobs, and to prove that we want to create that front door for them to walk through to another job. We know that electricians are needed. They can work in the water treatment plant. We know that lawn companies need people. They can work in public works. They create their resume, they work their way up. I don't know if many of you know this, but it was an intern in the mayor's office that helped solve the 10 Commandments problem when I was mayor. The other is a simply educational project called the Lunar Society. Based on an old English project, it is a monthly meeting where young people get trained and educated in the civics by the people that we have here in our community: scientists, educators, reporters, historians. They get to learn more about the classics, and they have an appreciation for learning. They create a strong bond with each other and the city, and they'll come back and teach here and work here. The idea will reach out to our civic groups and make sure that they're helping feed the population of the Lunar Society so these young people have an opportunity to learn just for learning's sake. This is not a gripe on the Frederick County Public Schools. They have so much to do. This is a simple out-of-the-box thought that creates a niche for these young people. And it gives something better to us too, their opportunity to have their voices heard.
So Roger Wilson is ready to rebuttal. He let me know that card was up. So Roger, you go first rebuttal.
Sure. Thank you, Carolyn. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was, tremendous growth on the west side of Frederick that we're seeing with housing. Right now in the city of Frederick, we have about 6,000 or 6,700 or so homes that are approved to be built. That's a lot of homes. And a lot of that growth is happening on the west side. Well, our west side community is our most diverse community. And those students attend those elementary schools like Hillcrest and Waverly. The city of Frederick needs to be a better partner with the county and making sure that we're planning properly in collaboration with the county to make sure that those marginalized communities that we have here in Frederick are not in portables. They don't deserve that. They deserve to be inside the classroom. They deserve to have a quality education just like everybody else in this county. That's the reason why I ran, because I wanted to change that policy. I wanted to make sure that all of our students in the city had a quality education. We can do better. We can do better. Thanks.
Anybody else would like to rebuttal? Nope, nobody rebuttal. Okay. Mayoral Connor, you don't have anything to say? I'm not putting you on the spot, am I?
I already answered the question, and I meet regularly with the superintendent. We talk about collaboration. We're in active conversations now about ways in which the city can support those schools on the west side.
Okay, so the next question, I'm going to jump into the community relations. Now, we know since the pandemic and things been going on, a lot of the communities have been collaborating. But as a mayor, it's essential to collaborate. How will you rally the different groups in our community, including the faith community, to get beyond the divisions of politics after the election is over, so we can be unified moving forward to benefit all of Frederick City? Roger, I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, Caroline, I thank you for that question. Prior to COVID-19, every Sunday I attended my church, First Missionary Baptist Church, which is the largest African American congregation in the county. My pastor there is Reverend Graham, and I think Jennifer, she's attended our service at least twice. I know I've been there when she's attended. One of the things that I do every Sunday is I attend my church first, and then I attend another church or faith-based organization in the county or in the community, because I want to have that experience, knowing what's happening on Sundays. Sundays are they're our most divided in the community. We worship with people that we know or share the same faith, and that's okay. But as a leader, I want to be listening and understanding those communities and what their issues and concerns are. There's a lot that happens on Sunday. There's a lot of discussions that happen on Sunday and what's going on in the community. So I will continue that when I'm mayor, because I think it's very important. Thanks.
Thank you for that. And we will go to Mayoral Connor.
Thank you very much. The clustered spires in the city of Frederick have always been representative of the faith foundation of this community. And while those are all Christian churches, I think today we know that the contributions of our Jewish brothers and sisters, our Muslim brothers and sisters, has created even more depth and richness. And now to me, those spires are representative of what the faith community really does bring to Frederick. When we've had many of these tragic national incidents occur, whether it's a shooting at a synagogue in Pittsburgh or a shooting at a discotheque in Florida, our faith communities are often the first ones that reach out to the community and bring us together to hold these other communities in our hearts when these things happen. And our faith community, if we rally with them and around them and work through them, they will help us to move past the divisions of politics. I think you're seeing it even just in this conversation. There are differences between us, and there are probably meaningful differences, but there is a common humanity that we share. And it's important for us to keep that in mind. And at the local level, that's more important than the political divisions that often get talked about at the national level. I'm glad that politics often stays in Washington and doesn't come to the city of Frederick.
Okay. Frederick, you can go next.
I was listening to Roger and Mayor O'Connor and their responses, and I appreciate it. I think that one way to bring us together is to stop highlighting what's difference between us. Like they said in that movie, if you build it, they will come. If we began building Frederick and having a good art museum and good entertainment, all these things, it will bring people together. I mean, yes, Sunday is the most divisive time in church, but people tend to go to their own tribes. But after Sunday, after they come out of church, if we have a community where we can go and do things together, we can bring in people from other countries. We can be a national tourist destination. All these things is a hallmark of a thriving community. So I think that we need to have a top-down approach versus a bottom-up approach, and bringing people together by putting shovels in the ground, building projects, building things that we can communicate as a community together. Thank you.
You still have 1 minute left. What are you doing? Okay, Jennifer, you're next.
Can I have his minute? No, the community does come together around issues, whether it's a hotel or whether it's the wonderful things that we put in the creek. But how does a mayor lead that? It's not about going to someone else's church necessarily. It is about the job of mayor. And I conducted community roundtables. I invited all to come. We had specific conversation talking points. The first ones were about who we should hire as chief of police. What style of person should we get in there? We had very good attendance at these community roundtables. I'll bring back the community roundtables. Frederick 101 was another initiative where we were talking to everyone and informing people about city operations. The ideas of city government getting out there and being a partner with all the other nonprofits and non-governmental agencies is so important because it's a force multiplier for good, whether building the hotel, creating safety on the creek, or having a West Side Regional Park that has a community center. We do not have the leadership in City Hall that is getting the job done. We are having platitudes about going to church. For goodness sakes, let's just say it. This is about not where I go to church or how I worship. This is about how I lead with fairness and transparency and equality, making sure that we put out the right people on the street as ambassadors for our city. We are not achieving our greatness because we are afraid to be honest with the public, and we are just putting out soft balls that try to make everybody feel good. Making hard choices doesn't necessarily make it easy, but it does make progress.
Okay, and Roger has his card up. He's ready to rebuttal, and I'm ready to hear it. Let's go, Roger. You can rebuttal.
Well, I just want to follow up what Jennifer just said. I the reason for my comment about visiting other churches is because I want to listen, and I believe that a good mayor will listen to their community members and understanding what those issues and concerns are. My philosophy is that a good community has four pillars with people in the center. And those four pillars are private sector, public sector, faith-based organizations, and nonprofits. But those four pillars working together to solve problems, that's a good community. And so, but it does start with the leadership. And as mayor, I will be a good listener, and I will be transparent, and I will be focused on solving problems in the community. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Anybody else would like to rebuttal? Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the next topic. I'm jumping around. Let's talk about the community relations again. And the next question is, how would you describe the current quality of life of Frederick City? As a mayor, what steps would you take to increase the quality of life? Roger, you can go first.
All right. The city of Frederick is a wonderful community. People move to Frederick because of the quality of life. The parks that we have here, we have 73 parks that are in these communities. We're undergoing a relook at our parks and making some improvements. That quality of life attracts not only people here, but businesses here, because their employees want to live and work in the same community. They don't want to get on the road. With the growth that I talked about earlier, with all the residential development, yes, in the city we want to grow. However, if we do not work to hold our development community accountable in that, and they want to be a good partner, may I say, they want to be a good partner. But we as leaders, as the mayor and the Board of Aldermen, we need to ask that question. Will you build a new road for us? Will you partner with us to help the county build a school and build that infrastructure? They want to know the rules. What's been happening over the last 20 years is a lack of holding our development community accountable. And because of that, we're losing all of our farms in the community. We're starting to lose, that quality of life, that traffic. US 15 right now through the city is our biggest transportation project. We have not made any movement on that. When we go back to work, that roadway is going to be cluttered. And that causes more dysfunction on our local roads and streets. And so we need to do a better job of making sure that we preserve the quality. As mayor, I want to see that quality of life preserved, just as I.
Roger, that's your time. Mayor O'Connor, you can go.
Overall, I would say the quality of life in Frederick is strong based on the indicators that most people would use. But quality of life in the city is not really what we can measure, because we don't measure as families and as individuals the quality of life in the city. We measure the quality of life for us. And that requires us to look neighborhood by neighborhood. And if you ask that question about what are the quality of life issues in your neighborhood, neighborhood by neighborhood, you would get different answers. Our responsibility and the steps that we're taking as an administration is to address these issues on a neighborhood by neighborhood basis. Those are different issues in the downtown. which is why we worked with the Oshman Family Foundation on the Downtown Safety and Services Initiative to look at the unique characteristics of downtown Frederick and what are the things that we can do as a city, working with our business and residential community in downtown Frederick to address those concerns. On the west side, it's access to recreation or transportation or the commercial corridor on Route 40. We've been in those communities. We've talked to those residents. We've asked them what they want, and we've responded. Alderman Wilson referenced the Parks and Recreation Comprehensive Plan. That is an important quality of life. We've learned during the pandemic, our parks are a critical component to our residents having things to do that are healthy and safe. So this is a neighborhood by neighborhood problem, and that's the way we've been attacking it, because that's how you have to look at quality of life issues in a city like Frederick.
John Fenderburg, you can go next.
First, I want to say I wanted to our rebuttal earlier. I wanted to agree with Jennifer when she said that, and it goes to quality of life, about how we have to stop looking at our tribal and having government build things and enhance our quality of life by taking leadership and building out our community versus trying to, visit here, visit there, do this, do there. So I feel like Mayor Connor, first I want to say, you have done a great job caretaking the city. The trash gets picked up on time. I feel safe when I drive around. The police don't harass me personally. I don't see them harassing anybody else. The city functions very, very well, and you have been a great caretaker, and I do want to acknowledge that. But I think that we need a leader that will bring Frederick from where it is today and to have a quality of life 10 years from now, that we have some place to go to, some place to visit, some place to have entertainment, versus us going to Baltimore or Washington, D.C. We should be able to go here. So the quality of life should be to kind of build this what we have out. Thank you.
I think John wants to give some of his time away to you guys, but we'll keep it moving.
Me, I haven't answered the question.
Jennifer, you can go.
I really want his time. The question is about quality of life and what are the nagging issues that are looming over us. We've touched on them, but we don't have specifics. Downtown flooding. Okay, so we have the Army Corps of Engineers plan. Let's merge two projects into one. Let's do the flood control and let's widen our sidewalks and creating cafe space. Let's not dance around this. We know this is coming. Let's talk about blight. Why haven't we seen change in blight? Because we don't have the courage to act. We have a blighted property in the downtown area. Everybody knows it. When I was mayor, it became blighted. We had thousands of dollars in fines if assigned to it. But it's been 16 years. Come on, people, you got to take some action. We did condemn and take by eminent domain for conditions of blight, 20 West 4th Street. It took a lot of time. We had a bad local ruling, but we ultimately prevailed. We also condemned by eminent domain the property on East or West Patrick Street for the city facilities and parking deck. You have to take action to address these problems. Not everything is a plan. And what people, I'd say in the first week, the first 10 people asked me, what are you going to do about X restaurant? In 100 days, I'll bring a plan to the Board of Aldermen, vote to condemn it and take it by eminent domain. We have to take some action.
And Roger is ready to rebuttal, and you can go now, Roger.
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with John. John made a comment about, how relative it is, or maybe it was Mayor O'Connor, about how relative quality of life is for the different communities that we have. The downtown community have different issues than the community in Warman's Mill. In Warman's Mill, you hear about issues concerning traffic, congestion, people running red signs and stop signs, that is, and speeding through the community. And that's totally different from downtown, which, You hear about the issues with, crime and robberies and loud music, noise ordinance, motorcycles coming through Market Street. So the issues are diverse, but what's important is that the mayor knows each of those communities.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jennifer, you can rebuttal.
Okay, so I'm the mother of the NACs, the Neighborhood Advisory Councils. We have to re-empower them to have a role in blight and code enforcement, bring that project forward, bring that revamping of the NACs forward. The noise ordinance, we adopted a noise ordinance way back when, and I'm starting to feel like an old lady because I'm telling you guys things that you don't remember or you don't know because you didn't live here. But we do have a noise ordinance, you're just not enforcing it. And the speed bumps over by Frederick High and by TJ High, brought to you by the Doherty administration in response to neighborhood issues. No new speed and traffic calming has been brought into the city since then, but you could if you wanted to.
Oh, John Funderburk, you can go next.
I feel like this is Game of Thrones, and we are like arguing, like the Starks is arguing with the Lannisters, and Lannisters arguing with Dorne. All these community issues, they can be easily taken care of. But winter is coming, meaning that Baltimore is building up. Washington, D.C. is building up. We need to spend time on how we can make Frederick the shining light. Frederick should be the gateway to the west for Maryland. I mean, we are situated conveniently right on 70 and 270. We have all these amenities that we have to offer, but we're talking about speed bumps and red light. We need to build our city up. We need to bring our city from where it is today to the level of income that's reflected in our city residents. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to rebuttal? I'm glad we're on this topic. I've heard a lot of discussion about downtown Frederick. And I think Mayor O'Connor said there's different issues in every community. And the quality of life. But when you look at the quality of life, there is a lot of concerns of residents of Frederick. Some of them move out because it's too expensive in Frederick. What are the 3 top concerns of Frederick City economic makeup, and how will you address these concerns? And being a mayor, you have to listen. I'm pretty sure some of you guys know these answers. So we're going to go to Jennifer. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Okay, so the big issues probably have to do with vacant and blighted properties. We've already talked a little bit about that. The idea that we are seeing growing vacancies on Thomas Johnson Drive on the west side. The idea that we are allowing Fort Detrick to go on its own in some ways without answering the question of what happened in 2019 when USAMRIID and the previous administration shut down one of the CDC labs. I mean, that is a value to the economy that is so much greater than just saying we have to increase the level of income, John. I think that's a pretty dangerous way to approach the mayoralty because there are a lot of people who live in the city that don't make $70,000 a year. The value to the economy of Fort Detrick is so important. We couldn't even calculate it, and we probably have Bev Byron to thank for it. Other than the blighted properties and the vacancies, I think we have to be more creative with our outreach. I think I've talked a little bit about it in the initial economic development answer about having business retention visits and creating business leaders as ambassadors and having a roundtable that has to address where we stand on issues. But the post-pandemic economy has been referenced a couple of times because retail won't be the same. Downtown probably won't be the same, but it can still be good. John's right. We do probably need a hotel, but look at all those resilient people who created Airbnbs in their homes over the last 5 years. Look at what's happening on East Church Street, East 2nd Street, the creation of a hotel and condos there. People are entrepreneurial. They think hard, and I think the city has to be the creative force that understands that we don't have every rule in place that makes it possible for them to be successful. And that, I think, is where the next level of city government has to go. We have to be a little more creative, a little more flexible. I think there's a question coming about affordable housing, and I'd like to talk about that because when we talked about quality of life, life is good if you still have your job. But remember, a large percentage of our people are hospitality based. A lot of people, I'm very lucky, my folks are still working with me.
That is your time, Jennifer. I'm sorry. Okay. And John, you can go next.
Thank you, Jennifer. I think I respect your business acumen, so you may have misunderstood me. I'm not an advocate for raising the level of income. I'm an advocate for serving the higher level of income that is here, that have moved here, and been prosperous in Frederick. We need amenities that help serve them. I also think that my policies will bring jobs on all levels, from minimum wage, so hopefully it'll be $15 an hour, to the higher wage jobs. My policies will be a strong advocate for companies like Apple and Google and Amazon to begin to relocate here. All those bring jobs. I want to address economic disparity in Frederick by bringing jobs to Frederick, by bringing companies to Frederick. I think that with respect to Michael O'Connor, the mayor, I see you and I like you, so I don't want to say anything because you're a completely likable guy and so nice. But in my research for running for mayor, one thing that they've said was you rarely see representation in Frederick anymore. On the other hand, Jennifer, when you were mayor, the same people say you were in Annapolis all the time advocating for Frederick, but the current mayor doesn't spend a lot of time advocating in Annapolis for Frederick. I think that that's what we need. We need someone that advocates for Frederick in Annapolis, and we need someone that advocates for Frederick in development, and advocates for Frederick in the business community to try to expand and spend a lot of their time really making Frederick what it can be. So once again, sorry, Mayor Conica, I like you, but I wanted to just highlight that. Thank you.
Just FYI, John, if this is your first forum, you don't have to apologize or give kudos to the mayor. So this is a forum, Mayoral forum. It's not necessary.
Don't give away the secrets.
Sorry. Okay. Mayor O'Connor, you can go next.
So the question is about what are the economic concerns in the city, and I would say there's three of them. It is disparity broadly in business, and we've addressed that by revamping and reigniting the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Review Panel and by launching a disparity study. And we're going to address that through the hiring of an equity program administrator, because we know that one of the greatest ways to build wealth in this community is to ensure that our small business, particularly our small women and minority businesses, have access to city spend. So that's a critical issue for addressing broad disparity in our community. Second is general economic inequity and the cost of living in the city of Frederick. And so one of the things that we did was to look at how we deliver housing and human services and revamp the organization. We created a new department with a new division to look specifically at housing policy in the city of Frederick to help us address those broad affordability issues. We can't live with a model that was designed in the 1960s. We needed to build a model for housing and human services that's designed for the 21st century. Who did that? The O'Connor administration did that. We took that action. And finally is addressing vibrancy and long-term vacancies. We've done that in two different ways. Perhaps it's not happened at the pace that Jennifer believes it could have happened, but we fought her issue on 20 West 4th Street for 15 years at the cost of hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have amended our ordinances to create a better opportunity for us to track and find long-term vacant properties, and to do it not through eminent domain, but through receivership. A better, more streamlined process. And when we have the right opportunities to do it, we will. That's a promise.
Thank you for that. And so I'm going to make a small comment real quick. I'm going to let Roger go. If any of the people that are watching would like to ask questions, please put it in the comment and we can give some questions to the candidates. If you want to ask a question to a specific candidate, you're more than welcome to. So I will let you think of those questions while Roger answers this question and the rebuttals happen. Okay, Roger, you can go.
Yeah, I think there are several areas that are a big concern in the city. One is affordable housing. I think that's been mentioned. In respect to our starters, just getting out of college or just starting out in their career, we've seen about 11% increase in the number of young people moving to the city in the last 5 years. But the trend is they only stay for 2 years, and then they move just outside of the city because they can't afford to live. Also, we have an aging population, and those individuals want to age in place. One of the things that I worked on and was got a lot of help from my colleagues is drafting some legislation to provide a senior tax credit in the city. That had never happened before, and so that's what we put in place. Um, the other thing is with regard to equity and making sure that all communities are receiving the same services throughout their community. So if you live on All Saints or you live on South Street, you should get the same attention and services, that Baker Park receives. If there's a tree that needs to be trimmed on All Saints, yes, provide that. If there's a trash can that needs to be provided on South Street, yes, provide that because you're providing the same thing on Market Street. So equity is a big issue throughout the city. And the third thing, if I have the time, is making sure that we're a business-friendly community. And
You don't have the time. You don't have the time. I had to mute you. Sorry. Okay, so anybody would like to rebuttal? No rebuttals? You know what? Since nobody likes to rebuttal, and it's actually the last question I'm going to ask, Roger, I'll let you finish. Did you want to finish?
yes, so business-friendly. What we learned during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're still in that process of going through something that was unprecedented. There's no short. And what we learned there is that the business community needed more communication from this administration. And that's something as mayor that I want to do a better job at. And I will provide that leadership during a public health crisis or any crisis that comes before us. Communication and transparency is important. And not only the business community needs to know what's happening, but the citizens of Frederick need to know what's happening. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for that. So I am going to ask one more question, actually. Oh, wait, we have a rebuttal. And it's John Frenderburg. You can rebuttal.
Yes, I keep hearing when I hear Roger Wilson or Mayor Connor say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Especially when it comes to the blighted buildings. Thank you for bringing that up, Jennifer. That is something that I've noticed, and we all know where those buildings are. We all know where we all know who owns them, and I'm a bit being relatively new to Frederick. I'm thinking, why are we always going to do something? Why hasn't been done? Why aren't we accomplishing all these great things we're talking about? Are you guys asking for another 4 years so you can kind of say, we have this in the plans, we have this in the works? I honestly think that we need a leader who gets it done and doesn't have the perfect plan, but just goes out and gets it done. Thank you.
Oh, rebuttal time. Roger, you can go.
Well, John, I'm just excited that you agree with my platform. I mean, that's my platform. Let's get to work. Let's get it done. We waited on these things for a number of years. I know that blighted property that Jennifer referenced, the Asiana property on Market Street, right across from Brewers Alley. That's been that way since I've lived here in Frederick. Okay. That hasn't changed. The current mayor has participated on a committee to study blighted property. All right. He ran on correcting that. but it took the legislature, the Board of Aldermen, to initiate leadership there. Okay. And so we're proud of what the Board of Aldermen did in the last 4 years. And as mayor, I want to continue that trend. I want to continue to get things done, as you said, John.
Okay, so my last question to all the candidates would be the vision of Frederick. We all know that Frederick is becoming very expensive, and a lot of people have had to move out of Frederick, Hagerstown, in the county. How would you improve the access to affordable, decent housing, including both safe, fairly regulated rental units and home ownership, without the risk of pushing existing low-income residents out of the communities? Jennifer, you can go first.
At the risk of upsetting Michael again, and giving a history lesson to the other fellows, during my administration, we brought Hope 6 after 2 failed attempts. It was $17 million of federal money matched with local money. That helped bring hundreds of new affordable housing units to the city of Frederick. We also eliminated source of income or created source of income as a protected class, meaning you can rent if you're on housing choice voucher, a Section 8 voucher. And the other was actually impaneling the Fair Housing Commission, the first in the city of Frederick. I know you're tired of hearing that too, but it's true. And that to me is such a key thing. Action, result. We had a problem, we started to address it. What I'd like to do with affordable housing is to try and take a model of the the program that we did with aging retail structures when I was mayor, and it was a 10-year tax credit plan. Take the same strategy and address aging retail structures, strip malls, that could be redeveloped and repurposed with retail on the first level and 2, 3, maybe even 4 levels of affordable housing units developed on top. Give them the tax credit program the same way we did with the rehab program from before, and also create opportunities that if they dedicated more space to more retail space, that is, for childcare or elder care, they would get an additional year of tax credit. So the idea of creating a specific plan to address a specific problem could get us as many as 100 units a year for 10 years, helping to solve the problem. Because people who live and work here in entry-level jobs, whether it's a teacher or a server in a restaurant, they need the ability to live closer to work because they're juggling lots of things. They're juggling childcare, transportation, and probably 2 jobs to pay off their college debt. This is the type of thing. It's hands-on, it gets it done, and we've seen models where it works before. It's not new. You just have to create the thought in your mind to make it happen.
Mayoral Carmel, let you go next.
Thank you. This administration, as I mentioned before, created a Department of Housing and Human Services. So we recognize the importance of addressing an affordable housing issue. To the greatest extent possible, we'd like to be naturally occurring affordable housing, but we know that the market doesn't always work to the benefit of everyone. We've been a strong supporter, and at every opportunity when we've been asked to support a LIHTC project, a low-income housing tax credit development project, we have done so. Housing is going to be built by the private sector, but it can be done with the support of the city. The comprehensive plan that our administration wrote and was recently endorsed by a majority, by a unanimity by the Board of Aldermen, looks at a new mixed-use districts throughout the city to allow for the kind of redevelopment that Jennifer is speaking of. So I appreciate that everyone who's on this call has looked at the plans that we've developed, has looked at the progress that we've made, and has said, Mayor O'Connor, you're doing it the way I want to do it. And so I'm very excited about the things that we're doing to try and address these issues in the city of Frederick, because we have taken the lead and we have moved the ball on important issues in this area. And we're going to continue to do that. We know that the city has to be a place for everyone at all income levels, and that we have to provide services across those income levels. And our objective is to make sure that every neighborhood, that everyone who wants to live in the city of Frederick has equal access and equal opportunity. And the work that we've done and that we'll continue to do, our new housing division director starts on Monday, provides exciting opportunities for us to move things forward in the city of Frederick.
Roger Wilson, you can go next.
Yeah, affordable housing, it does not happen in a silo. You just can't create an affordable housing community off to the side. You know, an example of that is Lucas Village. You know, after Hope 6, you know, after all of that broke up, you know, then it was split into communities. You know, they went to Hillcrest, they went to Lucas Village, they went out to Walkersville Discovery. Okay, affordable housing happens mixed in to these communities. We can do it. We know how much housing, affordable housing, that needs to happen here in Frederick. We know that number, okay? And we've identified that in our comprehensive plan over the next 20 years. So the mayor's right. We have agreed to this comprehensive plan and the planning for the next 20 years and addressing affordable housing. But what is not known is the community doesn't know this. The community doesn't know this. So as mayor, we need to do a better job at communicating what that plan is and what the future looks like. That's what I want to do as mayor. Thanks.
John Frenderburg, you can go next.
Once again, I think you guys are thinking it's too small. I mean, America is based off of one of the greatest private-public partnerships in the world. From the moment of inception, we have the government, but government allows private industry to thrive and to innovate and to build. So to address public housing, I understand you got a comprehensive plan that no one has ever heard of and it's hard to implement, but why not think bigger? Why not invite Amazon to come over? When Amazon comes over, they not only build housing for that's affordable, but they build tech centers for the children of that community to be able to go and learn coding. When a company like Apple goes into a neighborhood, they build recreation centers and child care centers. If you see Amazon, whenever these large companies come in, they increase the value of the community. So if I'm there, I would advocate to bring in large companies that want to build, and then and they in turn would say, for you to come here and build, you have to build out communities around where your office is that's affordable. You have to build recreation centers, basketball courts, tennis courts, coding centers, and coding schools, so that you can have a total complete circle of making the community better. And all these things are done without using the taxpayers' money because of the public-private partnership. So I think we're thinking way too small when it comes to public housing. I think that we need to advocate and get the public involved, get companies involved. Amazon just reported, and they make, I think, $43 gazillion a year. They want to invest in our community. They want to do these things because that creates customers and clients for life. Thank you.
So we have some rebuttals going in, and Roger is first.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that we have a policy in the city of Frederick. It's called moderately priced dwelling units. And each new residential development project needs to either satisfy that policy, which is about 12.5% of moderately priced dwelling units within that housing development project. So that's where it's at right now. I would like to see that percentage requirement go up and to be more in line with the county. And from what I understand, that change is coming very soon. And so looking forward to hopefully getting that done by the end of the administration.
Thank you for that. And Jennifer, you can go next. If there's no rebuttals, we are definitely going to go into our closing remarks, and Roger will go next first on that. Go ahead.
John, I love your enthusiasm, but you're gonna have a little trouble when you have to sit through a meeting of trash cans and snow plowing. You do have to think big in this job, but you also have to take care of the small jobs. And the small jobs mean we can get 100 affordable housing units built in a year, but waiting for Apple to recruit Apple to come here, that's a multi-year project. People are moving out of Frederick every day because they can't afford it. They move farther and farther out, creating a bigger burden on our roads, not understanding that they might have to go and have different issues with their schools and their children. So it's a piecemeal approach, yeah, but that's how you get things done, little bits at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Thank you. We got a rebuttal. Go. This is the last rebuttal. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jennifer. Well, I have to say, you were mayor for 4 years. The mayor has been mayor for 4 years. And you're saying that the results of your administration, people are leaving Frederick. And so to me, that tells me that what you did isn't working. So we need to have a different approach, and we need to think bigger and utilize public-private partnership so that we can allow companies to come in and do what they do, make our communities better, innovate. Your opening statement, you mentioned AstraZeneca and a couple other companies that do well here. That's only 3. Imagine if we had 30, what Frederick would look like. So we need to think bigger and not just always think small. Thank you.
All right. That was a very interesting conversation. And I wish I could do my own rebuttals, but I can't. So I am going to let Roger Wilson do his closing remarks, and you can go, Roger.
Okay. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you to my colleagues, Jennifer, Michael, and John, for having a vigorous discussion tonight about Frederick's future. You know, Frederick is a special place. It's special because of its commerce, its history, and its people. You know, I decided to run for office because I believe that Frederick is a wonderful community, but I want to make sure that the next generation that moves here to Frederick, that they find it wonderful, welcoming, and that quality of life as I found it back in 1997. I believe I have a new vision that it's meaningful and it's heartfelt. And I believe that I can get it done. And I have nothing against the current mayor. I just think I can do a better job at leading. And I ask you to continue to follow my campaign at rogerforfrederick.com. And if you have a specific question, you can reach out to me. My number is 240-381-3529. And thank you for your time. Thank you, Carolyn.
Mayor O'Connor, you can go next.
Thank you, Carolyn, for giving us this opportunity. It has been an honor and continues to be an honor, and I expect it will continue to be an honor to serve the residents of the city of Frederick as your mayor. This community has given me so much. It has provided me with opportunities to pursue meaningful employment. 20 years as a journalist, watching local government, watching Mayor Doherty's administration up close, and watching how to do it right, and maybe sometimes how to do it different. To 10 years working for my church as a tremendous opportunity to understand what stewardship and giving and community really means. 8 years as a member of the Board of Aldermen, time as an adjunct faculty member at Frederick Community College, the opportunity to meet my beautiful wife, to raise my 2 progressive, strong-willed, successful daughters, emerging into their own careers. Now, I want everyone to have had the experience in Frederick that I've had. But we only do that through intentional action that brings everyone in. And we've made really strong steps in my administration to expand the opportunity for more people to have success in this community. That's what Frederick can be. That's what Frederick needs to be. And in an O'Connor administration, that's what Frederick will be. Thank you very much. O'ConnorforFrederick.com.
Thank you for that. And John Frederick, you are next.
So as I listen to you guys, and I'll have to say that Roger Wilson, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but this is who I am. I like to give credit where credit is due, and this would be how I would also govern. In that, when you bring people together, you don't have to have enemies just to get something done. You can create friends and acknowledge each other's strengths and weaknesses. So Roger Wilson, I really appreciate your thing on education and your compassion for the community. I feel that. Mayor O'Connor, I get from you a sense of community and how much you love Frederick, and you're extremely likable. And Jennifer Doherty, I love your business acumen and your business sense. You're amazing at that. But I have to be honest with you, all three of you guys have been here, and now we say we still need to change Frederick. And so that, to me, that's like, I'm here doing it, but nominate me so I can do it again, so I can change it. Well, Frederick should already be changed. And I think that we need new leadership. We need someone totally new, someone that hasn't been elected before in office, someone that has new ideas, someone that will incorporate all of you guys' ideas. When I'm mayor, you best believe Roger Wilson's going to be in charge of my education. Michael Carter's going to help me with the community, and Jennifer Doherty is going to help me with my business. I honestly believe Jennifer Doherty will help me bring a convention center hotel to DC. I think you will help me do that. But we need someone that has the vision and the aggressiveness and the passion that we're going to get this thing done. Enough saying we got plans in the works. Enough saying, well, we've been trying to do this for years, we can't do it. No, now is the time to do it. And I appreciate all of you guys, but I want to lead Frederick into the future. And thank you very much.
The politician in me wants to do it, but I So Jennifer, I will let you do your closing remarks. You're muted. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Okay. So it's been a great opportunity tonight, and I appreciate all of you being here. Carolyn, great forum. And now we're getting ready to the 4 months of the election. The idea that we're going to have to choose one of these people, right? Old people with new ideas, or new people with old ideas. Which is it going to be, John? Believe it or not, I think the issues are usually the secondary thing people choose on. They choose on personality. And you know what? I've heard the gossip. I've heard the gossip that I can be hard on people. Guess what? It's true. I am hard on people. I have high expectations. I am demanding as a boss. I make sure that people know what their expectations are. I am completely transparent about it. They're there to perform a job. In the city government, I was no different. In the context of city government, I think we have to make sure that we understand that directors and city staffers are doing the job that's expected of them by the residents, the customers of the city government. And our police officers uphold the highest standards because they are the biggest ambassadors for our city. The idea that they are on 24/7 is not a new idea, but the idea that they're ambassadors for our city should be something that we start to build in again. And demanding, yes, more on elected officials. Roger, members of the Board of Aldermen, let's be clear. The aldermen only need 3 votes to make things happen, to change things. You could have done more over the last 4 years. You had a majority of all Democrats, and we didn't see things done. The receivership, that's just nonsense. Don't wait until the next year to decide what's going to happen. The next bit of expectation is on the city residents. You can believe what you want when someone drops a postcard at the door. Check the records. Who's gotten it done in 4 years, and who's created another plan and another plan and another plan. These are stacked upon stacked upon stacks at City Hall. It doesn't make any sense. We have to spend the time getting to know who can get the job done and who will get the job done. I think I'm the one. So go to Jennifer for Mayor, check it out. See me on the streets. We'll be knocking on doors, COVID safe. I've got my double vaccine, and I want to make sure that people are encouraging their neighbors to do that, because that's the only way we're going to get back to normal. We haven't had a lot of conversation about that in this forum. I know we'll see it again, but let's make sure we get every job done. And part of that is making sure vaccines are administered so business can get back to normal and people can be safe. I guess that's it. I thank you for your time.
Why, thank you. And yes, we did not have a lot of conversation on some things, but you guys, I'm pretty sure, will be on a lot of platforms. And I will definitely be tuning in. And the beauty of doing this online is you can actually watch yourself and critique yourself and see how you done and maybe improve or say, I don't want to do this, I didn't want to do that. And so you can always do that with a video because it's always good. You can see it. It is recorded, and you can definitely go back and look at yourself and how you presented yourself and how you answer the questions. And so if you guys want my input, you can always DM me. And I will definitely I support everything that you guys have said, and I think all of you are great candidates, and I just look forward to you guys on the campaign trail. And I'm just honored that you guys were on my platform. And I want to thank you and say good night and good luck to all of you in the next 4 months. Thank you. Have a great night. Have a great night. Bye.